Today on the Extreme channel, we are reviewing XM Studios' Rhino statue. It's not XM? It's like, it looks just like it. Oh. Oh, this is uncomfortable. As the Extreme channel is pushing towards 50,000 subscribers, these are just a few of the statues we are giving away on the journey there. If you want to know how to win one, stay tuned for later in the video. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. My name is Mr. X. We're all about extreme collectibles. I was making a little joke. Good thing I have to tell you what my jokes are. You know, chicks don't like that. But I was making a little joke at the beginning that this custom Rhino statue is very familiar to this statue right here released by XM Studios. Now the crazy thing about this is XM Studios showed a teaser of their statue probably 3 or 4 years ago, and it was just a little part of the upper torso here with a little bit of the face. And then this custom group revealed their concept, smashing this taxi cab, and a few other things we're going to look at. And then shortly thereafter, XM Studios revealed their concept, which was very similar to this. So this one actually came to market, came to pre-order first. And I'm not saying anybody copied anybody, but it's a damn big coincidence. Or maybe Rhino just has a vengeance for taxi cabs. But as I said, so this is a custom, it's a private unlicensed commission. As you can see, while it has kind of the same concept of XM Studios, it was actually revealed before XM Studios revealed theirs. And there's a whole lot more to this statue, which is why I chose to go with this one instead of XM Studio. Now Rhino, if you're unfamiliar, is a Marvel villain. For the most part, he pairs up against Spiderman. And I'm stoked to have him in my collection, even though recently I took down my entire Spider-Man collection. However, I'm not selling it because I love that collection, so right now it's just in boxes. So I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do with this guy. Although if I wanted to, I could pair him with some Silver Surfer statues. This Silver Surfer comic right here was one of my favorite ones growing up. But anyway, we're going to do a review on this guy. We're going to talk about paint, sculpt. As you can see, there's a ton of different display options. And this actually was one of my most anticipated statues for 2022. You know, just the other day, I launched this video you can check out right here of most anticipated statues for the remainder of 2022. Now, did he live up to the hype? Well, let's find out. And as usual, we're going to start with concept of the piece. Now, with the concept, you want to kind of talk about his powers. So Rhino is basically superhuman everything. Strength, speed, stamina, durability, except IQ. He's kind of a stupid guy. And his one weakness is once he starts charging, he really can't change directions. Now, there's a few different iterations of Rhino, but on most of them, he has all those attributes. And a lot of the time, most of the time, the skin is permanently bonded to him. It was actually a big accident, kind of like the Hulk with gamma radiation. So they showed that in this statue. On the bottom, you have a completely destroyed street and taxi cab. I mean, this thing is demolished. And not just because he's very heavy, but again, I said he has super strength. He can lift like 100 tons. I'm not exaggerating. So very powerful guy. He's obviously running in this speed, showing that power. And I don't want to say he's unstoppable like Juggernaut, but kind of similar. And it is completely destroyed, crushed down underneath his weight, parts everywhere. He is leaning over and leaning forward, obviously using his horn. That's what rhinos do. And as you saw, there's a few different torsos, but they kind of show that same exact thing. As you move up, you see this muscular ass body underneath that suit. And on the suit, you'll see close-ups during paint and sculpt. You see the veins, which makes sense if the suit is part of him. And all of the portraits are a little bit different, but they all show him very fierce in the midst of battle, and it just shows the bestiality of this awesome character. So I think they did a great job with the concept. While it's not unique, and technically it did come out before XM Studios, I think it's a 5 out of 5 on the concept. This is what you want out of Rhino, very action dynamic, and they pulled it off well. Now, one thing they did with design is they wanted to give you a ton of display options. And while I absolutely love those, it left some nastiness behind. So we're going to look at all that after we look at the unboxing and assembly. Now, 2 boxes because I got the deluxe. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. They both had an art box. You can see it right here. And it was not the traditional custom black foam, but the white foam, which in my opinion is messier, but less breaks. So this first box right here, again, this was the deluxe, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And then here was the regular. It had pretty much everything you needed to display it as is without additional options. let me get the dimensions really quick. So this is 1/4 scale, meaning in real life he'd be 4 times larger. But the deepest point is probably a little under 18 inches. The widest point, probably a little under 15. And depending on which torso you use, under 21 inches, at least for this torso. So I keep saying this torso. You see over there on your right, my left. L for love. That's what my wife always has me do. You can actually switch out his torso. So let's look at all the switch outs. First, there's 4 portraits. First one, and to me, this is kind of the traditional Rhino, where you see all of his human face, and we're going to look at all these during paint and sculpt. The next one, where the mask is over his eyes and nose. Another one that's kind of a mix between a real Rhino. You actually even see the eye, and then kind of a red visor. I've never seen this before. I don't know if there's comic basis for this. And then the last one is an actual Rhino. Then here are the torsos. One where both of his arms are back. And the other one where he's lunging forward, maybe ready to throw a punch. Or maybe he just did throw a punch. Now, unfortunately, all those switch outs did leave some nasty seam lines. Here's the torso. Not the best in my opinion. The neck, not the best. However, the nice thing is you don't see it when you're looking at from front on. It's just the side. And one of my portraits, the magnets are so strong, it pulled it on, it chipped off the side here, the main portrait. And because some people didn't want switch outs, they offered different options for this statue. I got the deluxe that had all the different options and switch outs. However, you could get it, I believe, with 1 torso, 1 portrait, and no seam lines. I may be mistaken on that. I know there was a different version that just had 1 portrait and 1 torso. So I think that was to avoid any seam lines. So while the seam lines are nasty, it's the buyer's choice if they wanted that or not. So I think the seam lines are definitely a big negative. I think another negative is displayability. This guy can't go on a lower shelf because he's looking down. He has to go at eye level or above. And most of us statue collectors, we run out of space quick and we have to figure out where to put everything. So that's a negative as well. However, one thing I love is right over here, the extra display stand for all the portraits and the extra torso. That is awesome that they do that. I think every company should always do that. If you have 2 additional portraits or more, and especially a secondary torso, there should always be another display stand. So they get a lot of props for that. So seam lines are bad. Displayability is a little questionable. Awesome switch out options. Awesome that they included that. So I think the design is a 3 out of 5. I would like to rank it higher, but to be honest with you, I'm just not going to. But let's dive into the paint and sculpt because that's going to more than redeem for the 3 out of 5 score in the design because they did a phenomenal job on this. I love every part of it. Check it out. All right, let's look at the bases really quick. And one thing I want to note about the concrete from the torso display to the actual statue is the huge contrast. Here, very much dark, and here, very light. And I like that because it really mixes it up quite a bit more. I also like it because it kind of tells a story on the actual statue of the dirt and grime that's going on, where this is a little bit cleaner despite the fact they do have a tire and then even a license plate, which is a little Easter egg on there. And you'll see another one in a second. But so diving into the base, the cab looks fantastic. It looks really good. Totally smashed everywhere. I mean, it almost looks like it went through a hydraulic press. It's probably a little bit too dirty in my opinion, but it flows well with the bottom of the base here and the different things that have popped out from the NYC sewer. You can see the smashed tire. There again is the little Easter egg. That's pretty cool. Cracked tail light there. Look at the windshield. I think they did an amazing job on that. That's probably the sunroof. It's hard to tell. Then you have a few pipes, and those are also down on this one as well, kind of insinuating the bottom underneath the street. And I like how the street is jutting up. Looks really great. And then it's the tire here is slashed. I mean, there's so many cool details on this. They did a really, really nice job on the base. Now, both of the bodies, other than the position, they're about the same. So we're just going to look at the one on the statue. But he does have the cool hooves, I would call them, on the bottom. I don't know what rhinos have. Rhino feet are called. So it's a mix between like humanoid feet and those big, huge toenails. And even the detail in the paint in those, I think it's like this nice enamel contrast. You see a little bit in his hand. The Rhino suit is awesome. Really, this really thick hide texture, like an elephant all over. Looks more like a pachyderm skin than it does actual suit, which essentially is what it's meant to be. Then it has all these nodules all over, which almost like, I'm trying to think of the right word for it. They're just protruding everywhere. Skin disease of some type. And also, they did a great job with the anatomy. The muscles look fantastic. We talked about some of the veins you see. And I love the color of this. I think they did a really nice job. And then the portraits. We'll look at each one because they're all pretty impressive. So here's the half one. I love the fact that it's half Rhino. Now with this, all the horns, or most of the horns, are a little bit different. This is still the same color as the skin. So like I said, it almost makes you feel like it's kind of a biotech helmet with the red visor there. The eye looks fantastic. And then down here, they did a great job with his skin and teeth. I like how his teeth are yellow on each one. You're going to see that. His lips curling back. You see a little bit of the gums. So here's the one where it's kind of a hybrid mask. It's pulled down. Now, this right here, you're going to see, I think it's exactly the same as the regular portrait it comes with, but they did a nice job. The only thing I would have liked to see is maybe the tongue a little bit lower so you could kind of see into the back of his throat. And here you have more of a true horn on the front, kind of that white ivory. Looks great. And again, great job on the teeth, the skin color. So this portrait right here, the one that comes with all of them, it's kind of the same as the previous one. However, the mask is not covering his eyes. And I love the expression. This is pure rage. You see the veins in his temples coming out. Nice highlights there. The eyes look fantastic. That shine on them. Again, a lot of the same comments about the mouth. Same horn right there. And then the last one, I love this one as well, despite the fact it's not very comic accurate, but like a real Rhino portrait. I love all the portraits, honestly. That's why I wanted to go with the deluxe. They did an amazing job. Again, look at that skin texture and the different colors. Really under the light, you see the blues that they added in with the grays and browns. Definitely one where I'd be switching out the portraits quite often. So I think they did a phenomenal job. Paint and sculpt is really impressive on every part of it. Helps overlook some of the complaints I had. Paint, they really knocked it out of the park. I love the detail in the portraits. I love the skin on his suit. They did an awesome job with the bases. I think the paint's a 5 out of 5. Really, really impressive. Sculpt, even more so impressive in my opinion. This guy is awesome. Well, I haven't seen XM Studios. I have seen a few videos, and I think this beats it. I'd love to see them side by side, but this sculpt is phenomenally done. It's a 5 out of 5 on the sculpt for sure. All right, so again, I'm not trying to compare it to XM Studios, but it was a similar price point. It was $1,250 US, so a little bit more expensive, at least for the deluxe version here, where you get all that additional stuff. Then shipping, if I recall right, was about $400 or $500. You saw the boxes. So you're about $1,700 all in, which is a lot of money for a 1/4 scale statue. Absolutely. And this does have some issues. Now, Rhino is such a quintessential character, and Sideshow made one years ago that was really popular, and that was really our only choice. And now we have some fantastic choices out there. XM Studios, like I said, looks good. I think this one's better. So being the best Rhino statue out there, I think that deserves a little bit of credit. And I think a lot of people are Spider-Man collectors, specifically Spider-Man villain collectors. So I think the value is still a 4 out of 5 on this. I think that people will want this. Like I said, I think it's the best Rhino statue out there. And I think I could actually make money on this if I wanted to, but I don't want to. I'm going to keep this guy for sure. Now, does this have the X factor? Is it a 5 out of 5 statue? You know, this was, as I said, one of my most anticipated pieces. I am disappointed by the seam lines, but that's about it. I love the rest of it. I think it's 5 out of 5. This guy looks so badass, and is going to look great with any Spidey collection. Like I said, I might temporarily put him somewhere else. Very stoked to have him in the house. He did not disappoint. And yeah, so what do you guys think? Do you like this one better or XM Studios? Throw that down in the comments below. I read every comment, and you could win a statue. We will be giving all of these statues away, plus additional ones at every 5,000 subscriber milestone. To win one of these statues, all you have to do is make sure you've liked this video, you've subscribed to the channel, you've hit that bell notification, and then just drop a comment below. Every 5,000 subscriber milestone, we are going to do a random drawing and pick a random comment and give one of these statues away, plus some additional ones I'm not showing right now. The more videos you comment on, the higher your chances are to win. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Really appreciate it. If you haven't, please hit that subscribe button. Tons of cool content coming up. Also, drop a like. It really helps the channel. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon. I'm going to the bathroom in a second, like not in my pants.